Hello, everybody. I'm Elena Barbera. Welcome to the Base Mother Show. It has been a while. I am so psyched to be back. Let's talk about Alcatraz. Donald Trump has decided that he wants to reopen Alcatraz. This guy is just full of surprises. He never stops. On April 4th, he made an announcement on his Truth Social account. Let me read this to you. Rebuild and open Alcatraz. For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society, I agree, who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering. When we were a more serious nation in times past, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone they could harm. Why? How did we get here, right? You ever wonder that? That's the way it's supposed to be. No longer will we tolerate these serial offenders who spread filth, bloodshed, and mayhem on our streets. That is why today I am directing the Bureau of Prisons, together with the Department of Justice, FBI, and Homeland Security, to reopen a substantially enlarged and rebuilt Alcatraz to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders. We will no longer be held hostage to criminals, thugs, and judges that are afraid to do their job and allow us to remove criminals who came into our country illegally. The reopening of Alcatraz will serve as a symbol of law, order, and justice. We will make America great again. I like the spirit of this. I gotta say, there's a lot to say about the actual issue, but the spirit behind it, making America safe again so that we can live like normal people instead of all walking around on eggshells feeling like we're going to be mugged at any point, no matter where we are. It's got to come to an end. I have had enough. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Like, it's not like I grew up in some la-la lands where nothing ever went wrong. But I was still 1,000 times safer there than I am in the suburbs now. How is that possible? Well, we know how it's possible, right? Democrats, lawlessness, favoring criminals over citizens, blah, blah, blah. It's all the same, right? So anyway, the left, naturally, they've got plenty of objections to this. And we're going to get into those in just a minute. But I want to play for you real quick. Stephen Miller, Trump's deputy chief of staff, he was on Fox News talking about this, and love what he had to say.
People in this country, as President Trump has said, who will do nothing with their lives but rape, maim, and murder. They cannot be rehabilitated. They cannot be saved. They cannot be coached in some better way of living. They are always going to hurt. They are always going to steal. They are always going to attack. And we need a place in this country where we can send people to visually demonstrate their total separation from society. The fact that they're not going to live among us and will never live among us. Additionally, this helps to disrupt transnational criminal organizations because it is harder to communicate with. It is harder to apply pressure to individuals who are inside of that prison because of its separation, again, from society. So it's right for our security. It's right for our safety. Let me just make one more point. You talked about...
All right. So if you're not familiar with Alcatraz, which you probably are, it is located in California in the San Francisco Bay. So it's right inside the Golden Gate Bridge. And the bay in San Francisco is not like some breezy little calm bay. The waters are cold. The waters are rough. And people have tried to escape in the past, some with some success, but mostly they died trying. That was back before the prison was closed in the 60s. You can learn more about it in Hollywood, in the movie The Rock with Nicolas Cage, or in Escape from Alcatraz, who I believe starred Clint Eastwood, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't seen it in a very long time. But Miller reiterates the psychological consequences of opening up this extremely isolated, rough prison. For too long, we've sent a message to criminals that they're going to get off easy. We're seeing it all the time, people who are being killed, and it was by somebody who was within the grasp of the justice system, just weeks, days, sometimes even, or months before, and they were let off easy with a pat on the back because they don't want to, incarcerate people of color or, poor people because it's unfair. No, it's unfair to make citizens live in fear and, and violence. But anyway, let's get to those objections. So the first one is that Alcatraz is not safe, and it would have to be completely demolished and then rebuilt. Well, there's no merit to that argument, okay? First of all, there's 1.4 million tourist visitors every year that visit Alcatraz. If it was completely unsafe as a structure, they would never let that many people on, would they? So yeah, it's run down, it's scary looking, it's cold. Of course, it has structural problems, for people, to be able to live there, things that need to change. But to say that it is absolutely unsafe and crumbling is just it's just a talking point, because again, they don't want incarceration. They just want everyone to be free and forgive. Not even forgive, just overlook, because they're not really about forgiveness either. It's not really what their jam is. These people who want to force us to live in mayhem. And I believe that Donald Trump, being one of the world's most prolific real estate developers, can figure out how to rehab an old building that's already designed to be a maximum security prison. I feel good about that. So anyway, so much for the it's falling down argument. The other argument is that local commerce is going to be disrupted, and it's going to, deal a blow to the San Francisco economic status. Well, the worst blows to San Francisco's economy are San Francisco mayor, their politicians, the governor. It certainly isn't going to be closing down Alcatraz for tourism. So what happens there is you have this whole tourism ecosystem, part of which draws people to Alcatraz. And there's boats that you buy a ticket to, and you buy your boat and tour ticket at once, and the boat takes you over to the island. You go, and then the boat takes you back. On shore, there are plenty of people selling things that say Alcatraz. So there's going to be, they're saying that these people are all going to lose their livelihoods, and it's all going to be hell in a handbasket. Well, it's really not true, because those boats and those boat operators, if they're smart, they will make a deal with the federal government on day one. From the minute construction starts, they can start transporting materials and workers back and forth to the island every single day. They will have plenty of work. They can make a deal so that after construction is complete, you're going to have corrections officers who work on the island going back and forth. You're going to have visitors, lawyers, doctors. There's going to be a lot of people still going back and forth. Not as many, but still, the strong will survive in this ecosystem when things change. Things are always changing. You're going to have food deliveries, clothing deliveries, medical supplies, janitorial supplies, everything that is needed to operate, construction supplies to this island. So these very same people can make a living. Plus, I would bet my life that tourism will still thrive to Alcatraz, because Americans and everyone, humans, they love the macabre. Like, even if they can't get onto the island, they will be happy to take a boat cruise that gets them as close as possible to the island that is now housing some of the most violent, awful human beings in the country. I just feel that's not gonna stop. The clothing, the merchandise, not gonna stop. People are gonna still want it. It's still gonna draw an attraction, especially now that Trump is making it, bigger and better, and they're gonna want to get their eyes on it. I just know it. So that's another argument out the window. They can pound it. I don't care. It's gonna create federal jobs. That's kind of a nice one, isn't it? Nobody. That's the one thing they've been complaining about is, Trump is cutting down federal jobs all over the place. Well, here, we're going to hire a bunch of corrections officers. You feel better now? Anyway, life on Alcatraz. I want to talk about it because I've been there several times. I used to live in San Francisco for a few years. That's where my son was born. And every time somebody came to town to visit us, they're like, let's go to Alcatraz. So I've been there more times than I can remember. It was a long time ago, though. It's been at least 10 years that I've been there. So one of the things about life on Alcatraz that they said that the prisoners loved and hated was that in the mornings the wind would carry the smell from the bakeries in San Francisco, baking, 3-4 a.m. baking fresh bread, and it would waft into the windows of the prison, and they would smell it. And it was a good smell. They loved it, but it was bittersweet, because it really made them. It was a stark reminder of like how distant they were from society. That freedom was right there. People had all those good things, and you could see them. You have a beautiful view of the city from Alcatraz. So today, I don't know if that still happens. And, because I was thinking about this, and here's a map of all the bakeries in San Francisco. That's the whole city. Something like 189 bakeries, I think. That's quite a bit, but there's a lot of people in San Francisco. But when you compare the bakery map to the San Francisco poop map, the Pope wins. Like, human feces is all over the city. You know how they have that app that tracks every time somebody spots human feces, they take a picture of it and the location, and then they upload it. So I think that the Alcatraz prisoner experience might be a little worse these days than it was back in the olden days, when there wasn't as much human poop and people were just baking bread and cookies. So it's kind of like a little nice to have, that you just get poop wafted in after you've raped children. I don't feel bad for them, not even a little bit. Another fun fact that I want to share with you about Alcatraz, this is a little show and tell. There's a list of regulations. You can find them online, like Google, like Alcatraz prisoner regulations. And it's actually a really interesting read, all the rules that they had to live by while they were in there, or otherwise they received punishment. And when I was there, I bought this sign about regulation number 5. It reads, you are entitled to food, clothing, shelter, and medical attention. Anything else that you get is a privilege. And that's really how it should be in American prisons, shouldn't it? Like, we're going to keep you alive. We're going to make sure that you're safe and you're fed emergency medical care. But if you ask Democrats, even MS-13 members who have been guilty of dealing fentanyl and been guilty of human trafficking, they deserve to just go home to their families. And if they're in prison, they deserve to live like the lap of luxury, because poor them, they're getting their freedom taken away. They don't deserve to have everything else taken away. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. So this is a regulation that I would really like to see reinstituted in Alcatraz. If it really is going to be the worst of the worst, let's make sure that we use the old rules and regulations, and no, I don't know, what would you even call it when you're just like babying these violent lunatics? Oh, so, all right, this is annoying. So while we're on Alcatraz, as we've seen over the past several years, let's say 10, 15 years, our federal government has spent billions and billions of dollars on woke initiatives. And in Alcatraz, they have some exhibits that you can visit to learn about the prisoners, learn about, life at Alcatraz, learn about the history of the island, everything that ever went on there. And one of the exhibits that has been added in recent years is called the Big Lockup, Mass Incarceration in the U.S. So this is like another attempt at normalizing crime and flaming racial tension, because the whole thing is all about race. So if for no other reason, reopening Alcatraz so we can knock off another woke museum, that alone makes me want to support this. I don't know about you. So one exhibit says this, or this is on the website. On Alcatraz, visitors can hear the voices of its former residents, touch its concrete walls, and experience the isolation of the island. Yet the significance of Alcatraz can only be fully understood within the larger context of slavery and incarceration. I could not be more sick of being told that my country is a racist hellhole. I'm done. I learned about slavery all through my elementary and high school years. I have tremendous compassion. I think it's a terrible thing, but I'm done talking about it. I'm done with a modern day where we have to insert racism into every single thing. I'm surprised there's not a tranny exhibit at the current Alcatraz prison. But you know what? Maybe there is, and I just missed it. But let's just get an idea. So for all this racism and about slavery and all that's in the mass incarceration system, we're on Alcatraz when we're looking at this exhibit, right? So who was there? Whitey Bulger. He was there. Al Capone, another big famous inmate there. We had George Machine Gun Kelly. We had Robert Stroud, the Birdman of Alcatraz. You notice anything here? Yeah, a bunch of white guys. And we got to do everything to talk about racism. They just shoehorn it in everywhere, every chance they get. Ugh. Oh, and we pay for it with our tax dollars. I wonder how much somebody got paid to design that brilliant exhibit about racism and incarceration. And who knows how many black inmates there ever even were there. So, yawn. Anyway, on a final note, keeping it quick today. We already know the Democrats love criminals. That has been well established. And it is increasingly, in recent months, Luigi Mangione, right? The guy that shot the United Healthcare CEO dead. That guy is like a liberal icon now. They love him. It started with, we had George Floyd, another one who was a god. We have Anthony Carmelo, who stabbed the other boy, Austin Metcalf, in the heart at the track meet. And he raised over $500,000 for stabbing a white kid in the heart for his defense. He's another hero for sticking it to the white man. It's happening over and over and over again. The MS-13 gang member from who they have called a Maryland father. He's another hero for the left. So they love them. And CNN, just to prove their point, went to meet with the Sinaloa cartel. You have to see this video.
So we've just entered an area of the city that is still very dangerous. After weeks of trying, our contact here on the ground has managed to secure a meeting with a member of the cartel who's involved apparently in the production of drugs. And so we're meeting him now in somewhere around here in an undisclosed location. ¿Cómo estás? This man is talking to us on the condition we hide his identity and location. Can I pull up a chair? He says he produces fentanyl for the Sinaloa cartel. How safe or dangerous is this area to be in?
En estos momentos todas las áreas son peligrosas.
The Mexican military making a big effort to crack down on the drug production here. How are you responding to that, and how does that impact your work?
Están haciendo un buen trabajo, pero pues como ellos vienen más, pues uno tiene que buscar la forma de seguir trabajando, claro.
So she asked him, how's Trump and how is this affecting you? And he's like, they're doing a good job and it's affecting our ability to work. To work. Work. You're terrorizing people, you lunatic. And she's just sitting there with him trying to gain empathy. That's what this is.
En baja escala, ¿entiendes? Pero no igual como antes, pero se sigue haciendo.
I mean, according to the Trump administration, you are a terrorist. I mean, the cartels have been labeled a foreign terrorist organization. What do you make of that?
Está fea la situación, ¿verdad? Está fea la situación, pero pues todos tenemos que comer.
The situation, he says, what do you make of being called a terrorist organization? And he says, the situation is ugly, but we have to eat. They played this on CNN. Putting together empathy. Because we're taking away the business of people who are just sex trafficking, human trafficking. That's slavery. That's modern day slavery. They're pouring fentanyl into America, which is killing people left and right. Innocent people are being poisoned to death by fentanyl. This is madness so just in case you had any doubt in your mind, any shred of doubt about the mainstream media, and what kind of a psychotic, evil conglomerate they all are, just abandon that doubt, because they're nuts. They're completely nuts, and they're now trying to get us to empathize with drug cartels. I mean, I can't even say it without laughing. I got to be honest. This is crazy. So in the end, I mean, I like the idea of reopening Alcatraz, but we have to look at the numbers. What is this going to cost? What is it going to cost to operate this place compared to other prisons? Is the payoff of this big, fearful, scary prison going to actually translate into safer streets in America? I need to be convinced by the Trump administration that that's actually what's going to happen. And if it's reasonable and they can make a good case for it, because the Bureau of Prisons is investigating it now, and they're going to come back with a report. And I guess in a couple of months, we're going to get more on this and see if it's realistic. If it's a reasonable proposal, I'm all for it. All right. That's all I have for tonight, guys. Thanks so much for coming by, and you have a great night. God bless you, and God bless America. Good night.